So we're going to look at one of the most important basic skills, I suppose, is how not to capsize, how to avoid capsizing. Okay, so the main reason people capsize is because they're sideways to the current and they don't raise their upstream edge. So the answer is raise your upstream edge. So what this does is the current doesn't build up on top of your deck and make you fall in, but rather than that, it slips underneath your boat harmlessly. So water is heavy. You don't want it building up on your deck. So if you lean upstream, the water builds in your upper deck, and obviously on one side of your upper deck, and you fall upstream. If you watch how people fall in, it's always upstream. So water in your upper deck will cause you to capsize. Okay. So leaning downstream allows the water to slip harmlessly under the kayak. The correct term is maybe more edging than leaning. It's the hull, the shape of the hull to the water that you really want to get right. You may also lean your body, but that's more to do with turning and so on. It's the upper edge of the hull that you want to lift up so that the water doesn't build up on top of it. So people find it's very difficult. It's counterintuitive, and so people think the water is pushing them from that side, so they should lean against the water. And that causes them to think they should lean upstream. As soon as they do that, they fall in. So the way to kind of get around this is to start off in very gentle currents, and where it's forgiving, you might be able to save it if it happens, and get the feeling of leaning the right way or edging the right way, and then gradually build up the strength of current. So from being counterintuitive, it has to become instinctive. So this takes practice. It's probably the hardest thing for someone getting into kayaking to master. So here we're looking at some beginners who aren't used to edging their upstream edge, and when they drop their upstream edge, you'll see what happens.
So go forward in that. Oh, this way.
Watching them, so you can see the water building up in his upper deck.
This way. Yeah, good save.
Managed to save it there. That's current. It's raising his upside edge, and he's all right, but he's starting to dip it now, and we're getting a build up there. Get rid of that. This one. So now he's got the water building up in his upstream edge because he's dropped it.
This way, this way.
And he's in.
Alright, get the edge up.
Got that edge up, so that's okay.
That's it.
Well, so here the water built up in his upstream deck. Not much current.
Alright, just relax.
So again, water in the upstream deck, arm out to try and compensate.
The other way.
Okay, so you can see you must raise your upstream edge. So thinking about how capsizes happen, quite often somehow people end up sideways to a rock, and in that case they tend to lean upstream away from the rock. The water builds up in their upper deck and they fall in. The other place where people tend to fall in is on the boundary between fast and slow water. We know that as the eddy line, and as you cross from one to the other, you have to lean and edge your boat to allow for the fact that the forces of the water on the hull. The other way that people tend to fall in is simply getting in and out of their boats. It's an awkward procedure, and that's often when people fall in. So here we're going to watch this yellow boat as a beginner, and again dropping the upstream edge, gets away with it, but only just quick reactions. So the water's coming as the green arrow. Okay so far, but now it dips the upstream edge and almost goes in. manages to stay a bit low, okay. So maneuvering through rocks gives you plenty of opportunities to capsize. So the way to approach this is to, if you see a rock in front of you, not to try and turn massively away from it. If you do that, you're presenting more of your side of your boat to the current, which will push you onto the rock. So you're better to aim to go down the side of the rock. And that means you're staying in line with the current more, and there'll be less force on the boat. And also, because of the way the current works, there's usually a deep channel beside a rock on both sides. You don't need to miss the rock by a lot. You're better, as I say, not to be washed onto it potentially by trying to turn away from it too much. Try to stay in line with the local current. So the more you can do this, the less forces will be on your boat. So other ways to avoid capsizing is to have good river reading. So this is a skill that comes with time and experience, but basically it's understanding where the water is going in the river, what the forces are, and choosing a route through obstacles such as rocks. So the simplest way is to stay in the main current. You can tell the main current from above. If you're coming into some rapids or something, there'll be a downward shaping V of uninterrupted water, smooth water, and then there'll be waves off to the side of that. If you aim down the center of that V, that'll bring you into the main current flow. If you look towards the bottom of a rapid, you'll see where most of the water is flowing out, and then reverse up from that to see your path through the rapid. The simplest thing is to stay in the main current. Now, the current doesn't all flow straight down the river, and as you go through, there will be rocks and various things that will cause the local current to change direction. And as a beginner, you're probably best to stay moving in line with the strongest current. And if it happens to be going left or right, then you should be in. If your boat's in line with that, there's no additional forces really on your boat. So this is the crucial one, to stop capsizing. If you end up sideways to a rock, you have to act very fast. And what you have to do is throw your body over the rock and lift as high as possible the upstream edge of the kayak. Now, if you do this, the water will slip underneath. If you're not fast enough, the water will build up on the upper deck and you'll fall upstream. This is often how people do it, actually fall in. Okay, so here we're going to look at a quick reaction to get over a rock when sideways to it, keeping your upstream edge raised. Crucial if you want to not go for a swim. So, it's a bit of an accident here. Very good. It's not a boat. So you can see the rock. It's good over it. Look at the edge of the boat. You go way up, the upstream edge, way up. Rotating off, but look at the angle, the water slipping harmlessly under the boat. Rotate it off now, backward, and up.
It's okay.
So now in slow motion, you can see the rock here coming onto it sideways. Once I realise that I'm going to hit the rock, see me reach over the rock, get upstream edge up in the air. Going for the rock, upstream edge is up. Completely out of the water. So the water now is slipping harmlessly onto the boat. There isn't much force pushing me against the rock at all. And now I'm finding that the boat wants to go backwards off this rock, so that's fine. I won't fight it, I'll go with it. Still keeping that edge up, so the upstream edge is in the air. See, it's still up in the air, just gradually rotating off the rock. I've not done that so quickly and let them outweigh the edge out of the foam in upstream. So see, there's not much force on my bow at all. I'm just one-handed on that rock because I've got the jump. You see the rod becoming against the rock is actually pushing off the rock slightly as well. So you see quite relaxed position there. I'm stable. Time to look at to see what I want to do. So I decide to go for that. So issues with that. So control that one. But is that it? So that all happened very quick. That was a 10th speed you were watching there towards the end. So you must instantly lean over a rock if you're sideways to it. So here we're seeing going down, massive brace on the right hand side. We'll see that again in slow motion. So here I've got water coming in on my left below. I haven't much room to get strokes in here. I'm trying to go for a boof. Trying to ride over this, but there's water now coming in from here, so I need to raise this edge. There's also a boil here, but the main problem is this water. So I didn't get much of a boof, so I'm now having to raise that edge, but I'm needing to support myself too. So that's the support stroke going in. My head is now down level with the water, both at 90 degrees from normal, so that's the angle of the hull, 90 degrees from normal, and then I'm using a support stroke, pushing forward. Look at the angle of the boat, and my body is face down towards the bottom of the river. And that is getting my body in the water. Now I'm using the paddle and using this leg here to pull this side of the boat up and the stroke. So that was a 10th speed. So it all happens pretty fast. And it becomes instinct. So here it is at full speed again. And there we go. Oh, why is it looping?